Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Casual KO. Bunch of bullshit going on last week, and I'm tired of this shit. There's this midget guy. There's the one referee that looks like Bobby Hill, from King of the Hill. I don't know, if you guys know his son, Bobby, right?
Damn
That's
it, Bobby.
There's the one guy that looks like Bobby Hill, right? Keith Peterson, is that who it is?
He
Like
looks
the
like
uh,
Bobby Hill and Cody Garbrandt's child.
Yeah, it's like, sir, you ready? Sir, you ready? That's the guy. That is Bobby Hill. You got him. You got this other fucking like Arnold Schwarzenegger bred with a midget, and this is who you get is this guy that comes out there and he's just calling the worst fights. He's an early stoppage referee. We like to think of Mark Smith as an early stoppage referee. This guy, he says, Mark Smith, hold my beer. I'll stop these fights quicker than you can imagine. This guy falls to the ground. I'm going to stop a fight. And this guy, he did it. He did it with the Bill Algeo fight. Our humble co-host here lost to Kyle Nelson. It was a sad situation. There's a few fights though where this dude's just out there and he's just fucking up calls, man. Really, really interesting night. How did you guys do? I'll start with you, Jared, because you were here. Spoiler alert, Alex, I think you went like 3-14 or 3-13 because you weren't here. You weren't here till the beginning. So all
uh,
your non-picks counted as losses.
Jared has all my picks, so I guess we could go over them. I'm
Well, we're
probably
not
the worst.
because you lost all those picks.
I'm
See, this is why
probably
you
the
have to
worst.
show up on time. And you
I
did
I
so.
think I did pretty good, to be honest.
Well,
He did he
on
did do
paper,
pretty good.
not on
But
paper.
the majority of his answers were gay facts. So
That's the whole thing. So, you lost. You're going last tonight. Um,
Ah,
Jared,
good.
how did you do?
it was really hit or miss for me. Loopy killed the whale bet, and then Algio killed the steamer, and things were not looking good for me. And then like a knight in shining armor, wielding two daggers for fingers, Chris Weidman comes out with the 1-2 double eye poke with the follow up hook that didn't even land. And he got the dub, and it really saved the night for me. After that, I threw some of the winnings on a little two-teamer, Buckley and Manon. So it ended up being a profitable night for me, and it did not look good in the beginning, but we finished strong.
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice one. Alex, you're saying that you did well, even though it's not on record. You did fairly well on your own, accord there.
Yeah, so I lost a small because you scared me on Bill Algeo, man. You really did make up some good points, and I was scared of the power. And I decided to go small, but I had a live bet ready, and they saved me from getting that live bet in. But I was really feeling a Bill Algeo comeback for some reason. But yeah, so I lost a small bet on Bill, parlayed with Sultan. I was all in on Sultan, and I had a very early parlay on Chitty Bang Bang and Sultan, and that hit in a very unlikely way. But yeah, pretty much good. Up $500 on this week. Could have went a little bit heavier, but these small cards kind of scare me from dropping units. If you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I ended up live betting Manon at plus 300 in round one as well when she was in that headlock position. And, get the best line on her out there that you could have gotten, which was good. I wish I bet more on it. And yeah, pretty much went small that night. Only lost on Algio. And, Chris Weidman, I ended up riding that with Jared, and that was a nice little heater too, because I knew he was due. But yeah, I didn't, really tail too many of the loopy bets because, my initial pick was Vierna, and I just knew that was going to be a close fight, and you kind of want to take the dog side in those close fights,
Yeah,
especially. And
the dog shit fight IQ for Loopy. I think that she's borderline. She's an auto fade. In the future, she should have won that fight, man. She's got bad fight IQ. I don't know what she's doing.
the age is what won that fight because they're gonna give the close decisions to the vets because they're not gonna be here as much. You know what I mean? They want to give them incentive to stay around usually, and they have big name fights for them. But the younger ones, they can go through more of the roster because they're younger.
Sure. I mean, you can see it the other way too, though, because a lot of people were saying that if in a close decision, Loopy's going to get it all day because she's the prospect. So you can see it from both sides. I don't think it's just a, cut and paste type answer. I think that, it depends on what's going on there. And it was I think Loopy won that fight. I think that was kind of a bad call personally. That's just me. I did have money on Loopy, so maybe that swings my bias to a certain side, but just a weird fight night all around. The whole thing, we kind of mentioned it earlier, the idea of fucking Chris Weidman going out there and being proud of that win, man. I think that's an embarrassing win. Obviously I think that both you guys cashed on Chris Weidman, and good for you. You know what I mean? Like, good job on cashing on him, but you can't feel good about that win. I think that that's a dirty fucking camp. That Longo Weidman, that Longo Sarah, whatever the fuck we're calling it these days, that's a dirty camp. You've got fucking Chris Weidman going out there throwing the 1-2 eye poke, right? That's a unique move. I've never seen that before, but he's proud of it. So apparently it's part of the shit that they practice. Then you've got Aljo obviously doing the Oscar nominated. I think he actually won an Oscar for that acting that he did against Piotr Jan. And then you have, I mean, just multiple fucking opportunities for these guys out of that Longo, Weidman, Longo, Sarah, whatever the fuck we're calling it. Like I said, that camp, they're just doing dirty shit. They're not on the up and up, I don't think. So fuck that camp. I'm not about them. I'm not a big fan of New York as a whole. Very liberal out there, right? I mean, like, are we disagreeing? Do you guys are closer out there? You guys are closer to New York. Are these people good people out there in New York, or are they kind of,
Always a 60-40, especially when it comes to like voting like that. There's plenty of conservatives in all these liberal states. Like, I live in Mass, which is a liberal state. I know what New York pretty much looks like, which is a liberal state. There's plenty of pockets of conservatives everywhere. Everything's mixed. You know this.
Yeah.
You know this. And it's just like whenever you go to a vote, like most of these states have won by like 5%, 2%, so it's almost close to the 50-50 on a rounding up kind of basis.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think that New York is actually a conservative state, but New York City is a liberal city. And New York City has the massive amount of population for that state. So they just get to fucking take it over and make it seem like it's a liberal state. So yeah, obviously it's a fun conversation to have. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh man, there's a lot of dirt bags out in that area, right? But you can talk about it. You can go back and forth all day. Where do you guys want to go before we get into this card? This is not a fun card. I'll tell you right now.
Well, I do want to tell your audience, like, if you go back and watch last week's card, that fight night, and you study it, that's a great example of how fights can be manipulated without even having to go to the judges. So if the organization really does have a bias, they can show it in these types of ways, because that was a very fishy fight card. And I know a lot of people who got screwed over, and I'm glad to, come out unscathed on the other end. But that card was very bizarre.
Yeah, super weird. I mean, all kinds of different weird outcomes, and none of it really made sense. But we'll roll right into UFC Vegas 90, I think it is. Is that what this is? Whatever it is, it's gonna be, real mediocre. And then next week we get, UFC 300. It's going to be arguably the very best fight card that we've ever seen. So we'll just deal with this for right now. First fight of the night. And what we'll do, since it was such a shit show, we'll alternate. Okay. Alex, you should be just like, you shouldn't even be allowed on this episode, to be honest, because you just didn't even show up. But
gave you an underdog last week.
No. Listen, what we'll do, I'll go first. Jared will go, and then you'll go. So we'll just alternate. We'll keep this friendly. Now, as long as we all show up on time, we can honor the fucking system next week. You know what I mean? And that's a big week. It's a big week, Alex. So don't fucking fall asleep. Don't go to the casino. Make sure that you stick around. We can do our thing. And whoever wins this week will start all the predictions for the biggest card of the year. So there's a lot on the line here at Casual KL. But the first fight of the night, we got Melissa Tanya Mullins. Isn't this also Melissa Dixon? Right. This is something that I've heard of as well. So Melissa Dixon, we'll call her. A little cross-eyed, but she's a good fighter. And then we also got Nora Cornoli. This is not to be confused with cornhole. Very fun backyard game that you can get. I'll start this fight off, man. I don't think that this is too complicated. Cornhole, very, very good power puncher. Seems like her cardio kind of fails her every now and then. I'm going to keep this short. We got a lot to talk about. I think that Melissa Dixon or Melissa Mullins is the side here. I wouldn't go crazy here on this first fight of the night. I tend to think that this goes the distance, not just because it's a female fight. If you were to think that Cornhole is the side, maybe it is within the distance. She could definitely get a knockout here, but I just think that that Mullins or Dixon, whatever you want to call her, ends up kind of grinding this out and wins a 29-28 or just a kind of a boring decision. I think that this is kind of a grindy type situation. And give me Melissa Mullins, man. Jared, where are you at on this?
Honestly, I think this fight is a lot closer than the odds indicate. I mean, you got two girls, they're both pretty green. Mullins, she's kind of a boxing heavy approach, doesn't throw a ton of kicks, and her boxing's really basic, a lot of 1-2s, but she fights behind her jab really well. Everything she throws kind of comes right down the middle. She has okay grappling. I've really only seen her defensive grappling, not so much offensive. But I think Nora mixes it up on the feet a little bit better. It's kind of like a boxing style versus a Muay Thai style. Even when she's clinched with her back against the fence, she still finds a way to sneak in knees and elbows. I like everything I see on the feet, but the grappling needs work. When she fought Jocelyn Edwards, Edwards was getting some of the sloppiest, ugliest takedowns I've ever seen. And every time nearly she tried to take Nora down, she got her down. The wrestling needs improvement, but on the feet, she definitely mixes things up better. In my opinion, this fight feels like a coin flip. And when I think something's a coin flip and one of the girls is almost plus 300, I got to side with her. So I'm going to stick with the fun backyard game here. I'm going to take cornhole to win a decision.
Okay. I don't hate it. Alex, where are you at?
I'm just for the audience, this is one of these shitty fight cards, but you could see a lot of violence, and it could be like a sleeper on the violent side. So the over-under set a little light on this one, with the over 2.5 being at 150. Oh, wait. My bad. I'm looking at the wrong fight. Minus 325 on the over 2.5. There's some value on the under there. And I think these styles match up well, boxer versus more of a grappler style. I'm going to go with, probably going to go with Melissa to get a finish. And definitely not going to be betting that. But I see these clash of styles pushing a finish. And this seems like one of those sleeper cards where a lot of finishes are going to happen. So I'm going to go with Melissa by KO, round 1.
Okay. Wow. I like it. We'll move on to the next fight of the night. And this will be, can you guys hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Something fucking got all weird with the audio. But yeah, this will be yours to start with, Jared. You got Dick Butkus, right? Dylan Budka versus Cesar Almeida. This is an interesting fight, man. And this is a grappler versus striker, right? Cesar Almeida's fought Alex Pereira twice, or maybe 3 times even. And he's beat him once. So this is an interesting kind of matchup. I don't know. I mentioned, I don't think we were recording, but I mentioned my side on this. But Jared, this is yours to start with. Go ahead and tell us what you think.
This fight, if I could pick one fight from the card to get removed, it'd probably be this one. This is just like, I was the least interested in this one. I did the least amount of tape. Mr. Butkus, he's a wrestler who is desperately trying to get things to the mat. And even when he gets to the mat, it's not like he has this like real aggressive top game. The dude's just looking to rack up control time and positions. And we see how judges have been scoring lately. That's not getting people the wins that it used to. You got a kickboxer. He's fought Pereira, so I guess maybe that'll give him some hype, even though he lost 2 of their 3 fights. I don't have a strong opinion here, but you give me a striker versus a grappler, and I don't think the grappler is that good. I'm going to take the striker every time. So I'll say Almeida finds himself a knockout. I'll call it round 2.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I'm on the KO round 1 for Almeida. I think that's what happens here, man. I think it comes quick. But Alex, where are you at with this one?
Yeah, it was a fade and a heavy line movement because a lot of books open Dylan up as the underdog, and he's sitting at minus 155 right now. So early money's loving Dylan, but yeah, I like the Caesar side as well because I usually rock with the striker over the wrestler as well. Um, I'm gonna go with the later KO. I'll go with round 3, but yeah, I'm starting to see some value in Almeida, and they have that storyline to build them up. Clearly they're looking for more people to fight the champ.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I have KO round 1, Jared has KO round 2, and you have KO round 3, all for Almeida. Um, you know, what is so off-putting about Dick Butkus? What's the reason that none of us are picking Dylan Budka here?
I don't like boring wrestlers. If you're like a wrestler and you're active on top, I can get behind it. But dude's just, I mean, you're his contender series fight. You should be out there trying to like really prove a point, make yourself known. And the dude just, all he wanted to do was get control and stay there. He didn't want to take any risk. I don't like guys that don't take risks. It's not fun to watch.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not a fan-friendly style, but is it effective, Jared?
I mean, it can be depending on who you got, and you do have a
You're
dude who
talking
had
about in this case. I'm sorry. Is this case? Is it effective for him?
well, I mean, against a kickboxer, you would figure it could be effective, but in Almeida, I mean, he's only had 4 fights, but his contender series fight, he showed some good takedown defense, and he was able to get out of some positions that most kickboxers would get lost in. So, I don't think it's going to be too effective here. It's low level, all the same, but I wouldn't be parting ways with much money on either guy here. But I would got to side with the kickboxer.
I like it. I mean, I agree. I'm just wondering why we're all seeing it the same way, right? So,
And he's got the more experience, he's 14 years older, and I just think this is one of that small percentages where the vet's going to look good. Look how much more fight experience that he has. So the later the fight goes, he's going to have more experience with, the cardio, the adrenaline dumps, and I just think he's going to use that veterancy to an advantage, especially at dog odds.
so when you're saying he, Alex, you're talking about Almeida. You think that Almeida just has like the experience, he's got everything working on his behalf here.
More fights he's had in 14 years, and he's coming from another sport, and I just think he's more dimensional than Dylan.
Then Dick Butkus.
Yeah. But
Yeah. It's a great name that the guy has. Okay, well, cool. Let's move on to the third fight of the night. We're all in agreement. We see an Almeida knockout, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. That remains to be seen. One of us is gonna hit one of these. You know what I mean? We're gonna get 100% on this. Alex, this is yours to start with. We got Jan Masamoto versus Dan Argueta. Fun fight. I think this is a
lot
very,
of tape
very
on this.
interesting
I
fight of
did
the
a good
night.
amount of tape on this because I didn't know who Matsumoto was. And yeah, I did watch that fight against Henrique, and I thought he lost the decision, but they gave it to him. And I don't really think he's truly undefeated after watching a couple of his fights. Um, I think Dan can wrestle his way to a victory here. I do like Dan in this spot at dog odds. It feels like a trap to me, and I've seen this before. But we're going back to the well and fading these contender series guys who are coming in their first fight. It's been paying out so far. You just keep going to the well, and you're getting it at another dog spot.
Okay. So what's the move here with Dan Argueta?
With Dan by decision.
Okay. I like it. It's your first decision of the night. Jared, you're up next, and just kill some time if you don't have anything too quick to say here, because I'm just gonna be back in just about a minute. So give your thoughts.
All right, clock's running, and this isn't a one I have very strong opinion on. So Alex probably gonna have to help me. Um, for Matsumoto, he's one of these guys that I like everything about him on the feet. He's fast, he's technical, he shows different looks. On the feet, I like everything about him. When it comes to the wrestling, I don't like anything about him. I'm just not a fan of his. It feels like he settles into positions. I've seen him get taken down and immediately he closes his guard. And when you close that guard, that just tells me that you're content with being on your back. A guy that's so good on his feet, being content with being on his back, it's not for me. Argueta, he's a super aggressive wrestler. His two best weapons is his cardio and it's his wrestling. And against a sharp striker like Matsumoto, those are two things you're definitely going to need. Um, he has a clear path to victory here on the ground. I don't think even he thinks he has a path to victory here on the feet. He just needs to get the takedowns early and often. It's a clash of two styles. I'm just hoping Argueta can find the takedowns in this fight, and it's not going to be sweat free. I think it's going to be pretty choppy, but I'm going to say Argueta wins a decision.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I actually think Argueta gets a sub here. I think that that's the way that this kind of works out. I think it comes in round 2 or 3. It could come round 1, but for the sake of this, I'll say Argueta sub round 3. I think that Argueta is going to be the toughest, the strongest guy that Masamoto has faced in his entire career, and this is a tough matchup for him, I think. So yeah, I'll go Argueta sub. Um, I think it comes round 3. So we'll see what
I
the
think
fuck
I
happens.
think Matsumoto wins is probably going to be my knockout because, like Jared said, he's quick on the feet. He's got that fast head kick. He's more on the straight line. He doesn't circle all that well. He's got a heavy Muay Thai style. So I think that front knee when Dan's going for a takedown or that fast head kick, is the
Sure.
way that Matsumoto could win. So I'd put a flyer on that as well. And like if you're gonna take any double methods, I would put Matsumoto by KO with anything, but with anything with Argueta, either sub or decision. But I'm gonna go with Dan decision. I like the odds, but if this stays on the feet for 3 rounds, I wouldn't be betting Dan in the spot. I'd actually be taking him to get outworked.
Yeah. Like I said, I see a finish coming for Mr. Argueta here. I don't know if it comes round 3, but I definitely see a finish. Just for the sake of getting spicy, we'll take a round 3. Submission, obviously, but no. So it's back to me here with. I mean, I'm just getting all the shittiest fights here. I guess. It's just me and the women. This evening, I got Cynthia Calvillo versus Piera Rodriguez. I have no opinion on this fight. I'm not gonna lie. I think that this is a stupid matchup. I guess I'll take Pereira Rodriguez decision. This is a stupid fight, man. Cynthia Calvillo lost her last 5 fights. Why is she in the UFC? I'm not sure. But yeah, give me Rodriguez by decision. Fuck it. Jared?
Well, I can say about Rodriguez on the feet, she has a clear speed and power advantage. And I mean, she's definitely got some pop to her punches. I've seen her be a little low volume at times, which can be a bit concerning. And she's a girl that she is susceptible to get wrestle fucked. Her offensive wrestling, it's not bad, but her defensive wrestling is something that's been a consistent issue in her fights. Even if she's getting the wins, when they play out closely, it's because of her bad defensive wrestling. Cynthia Calvillo, I mean, yeah, she's on a
Yeah.
5 fight losing streak. I mean, but the girl she's losing to, she is fighting a high level competition. She's got good footwork. I mean, this girl is constantly moving around. There's a world where she can irritate Rodriguez, where Rodriguez has a hard time finding her. On the feet, Calvillo, it's not like she's a striking threat, but because I would say the majority of the time she's hitting air, but she at least is given volume. And not everything's landing, but her arms are constantly moving. And she has a way of making girls not hit her. She doesn't parry her punches, but she kind of puts her arms in a way that you end up hitting her arms, and girls have a hard time finding her. I mean, you can even make the argument she won her last fight against Loopy. You know what? There is a world Calvillo is just going to out volume and out wrestle Pereira. I mean, I could see her looking good early, Rodriguez, but I think the longer this fight goes on, there's a world Calvillo can take over this. So I don't trust either girl. It's a close fight. I think it's lined this closely for a reason. So I'm going to take Calvillo to win by decision.
Jared,
And I will not say Calvillo. It's not happening, dude.
you're killing me.
It's not happening.
She's a Latina. It's Calvillo.
You forget who you're dealing with here, dude. It's Calvillo.
It's Calvillo. So I put you down for Calvillo, and you said decision.
I did.
Okay. I mean, we got to do it, right? You know what I mean? Like that'd be like a Mexican calling you Herod. Herod. Hey, Herod, what's up?
Well, all right. If I remember correctly,
Jared.
When we were talking about Ricardo Ramos, you said, Jared, you could say these names however the fuck you want, but it's the double L's. That's the ones that get to you.
The double L's really get to me because there's a road out here by my house. It's La Cholla, but it's spelled La Chola, right? So it's La Cholla. And anytime like any of my friends come down here from out of state or anything, they say, oh, let turn right on La Cholla. It's like, dude, no, it's La Cholla. I've been hearing this since I was a fucking kid. La Cholla. The two L's make a Y sound, especially in the fucking Southwest, man. And this is she's not a hot Latina. She's a Latina nonetheless.
She's reasonably hot for a 36-year-old MMA fighter. I mean, she's reasonably hot.
Sure. Well, then pay her respect, Herod. Okay. Pay her respect. It's Calvillo. But yeah, no, I got you down here for Calvillo. And you're going decision, you said, yeah?
Yeah, you have to in a fight like this.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate it. Jared, or I'm sorry, Alex, where are you at here?
You know, in a way, I would bet this. I think you can get good odds on Calvillo by decision only. You know, if you get that near to close to even odds, maybe even minus 125, that's good. But heavy early money coming in on Calvillo. She was at up
Are you trying to do that on purpose? Like I let it slip the one time. What's going on here? Am I the asshole? What's going on?
Yes. You look. You got to read the room, bro. We just can't get there.
I mean, I know it's like three white dudes here, but holy shit, what's going on?
Yeah, we got we're like 2.5 white dudes. You're a little seasoned.
Yeah, I got a little bit of fucking some shit on me, but let's go, dude. So what are we saying, Alex? You're muted.
Sarah was at plus 250 at some spots when she opened. You know, she's at plus 125 right now. All the early money's on her. And I think she can only win by decision in this spot. If I were to bet Pierre, you can get her at like the same odds right now at minus 155 for finish only. So if it does go to a decision, you get all your money back. So that's the spot I would like. And I guess, you know, I'm going to go against my gut here because at plus 180, I was going to take Cynthia. But when it gets close to the even odds, I'm more willing to take Rodriguez with that aggressiveness, you know, that volume. And at the end of the day, the volume's going to win the decisions that we notice. So I'm going to go with Rodriguez, you know, maybe even a late KO. I'm going to go KO round 2. But this fight is unpredictable. This is one of the fights you definitely want to stay away from. And that's the way I would advise anyone to bet this fight.
Okay.
Just a toss-up.
Yeah, I like it. So the fifth fight of the night. Man, I just love Norma Dumont's ass. I mean, it's so good. Jared, this is yours to take. Norma Dumont has the best ass in the game. She's taken on Germaine De Randamie. And I mean, dude, this is the first ever featherweight champion. Alex, I don't know what you're laughing at. I know you like asses too, buddy. So let's keep it real here. If you can find another woman in the UFC that has a nicer ass than Norma Dumont, then go ahead and just throw it over here and let me know. But Germaine De Randamie, very, very high level fighter. Just the problem is she hasn't fought in a long time. So, Jared, this is your fight to start with. Where are you seeing this matchup between just a girl that I mean, as long as I got a face, she's got a place to sit, Norma Dumont. You know what I mean? But then we move on to Germaine De Randamie, who's just like she looks like fucking RoboCop, dude. You know what I mean? But
She's like Talia Santos and Gregory Rodriguez had a kid.
right. It's a rough look. So you got a beautiful girl versus a man in a wig. What are you seeing here as far as this matchup goes?
Well, what I see from the man in the wig, dude, I don't like to throw the term no gay around too often. I know I used it for Weidman last week, and I'm afraid that Germaine is going to be the no gay of this card. Before her long layoff of almost 4 years, this girl was really, really good. Her only two losses in the UFC are from Amanda Nunes, and then she lost to Julia Budd in Strikeforce. And Julia Budd is very good, or at least was. And couldn't tell you who her fourth loss was, but it was early in her career. This girl was really good, top of the division, complete definition of a complete fighter. She was just super well rounded. She's comfortable no matter where this fight goes. When you look at Dump Truck, I mean, she's got good forward pressure. She's got good striking defense. The girl does not get hit a lot. I mean, she's got wrestling. She's a solid all around fighter. As much as I liked Germaine when she was fighting 4 years ago, if we were having this conversation 4 years ago, I'm probably going to side her way. And I bet you she'd be a favorite here. But it's hard for me to get my head around a 40-year-old contender, regardless of how good she was. I feel like this is kind of a passing of the torch. I'm going to take Dumont to win a decision here.
Pussy. You're just a
ass. Sometimes, I just picked 4 underdogs in a row. Right?
No, I thought he was gonna come around to our side after that. Like you set that up really like.
Bro, I just picked 4 dogs in a row.
Germaine right off the bat after he started that, but
I knew the no for gay would get Alex all fucking excited.
This is a no for gay. Yo, you gotta go Germaine here. She's proven. She's getting old, but we got back to back. We got 3 vets in a row. And this is the vet I definitely want to go with. Definitely I want to go with this vet. At dog odds, I've been riding this girl at dog odds for a while. It's not too often she don't hit. I'll take Germaine here. Bigger, stronger, finishing capability. The only way I think Norma wins is just a lot of clinching. I don't think she can keep Germaine down. But I see a lot of clinching and all fence. And I don't think she's going to get away with that here. I'm going to go with Germaine. I think she gets that KO. We'll go round 1.
Yeah, we'll call her GDR, man. You're saying KO round 1. That's wild. I think that GDR ends up grinding this out, and I think that she does it, in a certain way. It's either a round 3 finish or a decision to where Norma Dumont, like you said, that beautiful ass that she's got. She's just going to be pushing this girl up against the fence. She's not going to be doing too much. She beat Chelsea Chandler in her last fight. Chelsea Chandler, not a good fighter. Just objectively bad. Yeah. Objectively, she's just bad. Not because she ran away from a punch, right? I mean, you have other fighters that have done this, but just not good. Just not a good fighter. And I think that Norma Dumont, for as decent as she is, not as good as she is, but as decent as she is, she's not on the level of somebody like GDR. And you think about it like this too. When you look at heavyweights, they can be 39, they can be 40, they can be 44, they can be older, right? and they can still hold on to their power. They can still hold on to what makes them great. Bantamweights for the women's divisions, this is a heavier weight class, right? There should be an atomweight division in the UFC for women, right? So when we're talking bantamweight, there should have never been a featherweight division in the first place. That would be like a super heavyweight, in my opinion. What I think bantamweight is for women and for athletes in the women divisions, this is what this is. 135 at women. Women weight classes. This is the highest it should be. Now, would I love to see a 260-pound women's division out there? I'd love it, dude. I'd love to see 260. Pair up a couple Lizzos. You throw it.
I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That probably be some bangers.
Dude, I'd love to see that kind of shit.
I feel like we somehow circle back to this every week.
I mean, just the thing, dude. Like, you got to think about it, man. Think about two obese women fighting each other. 255 women that weigh. I mean, there's 700 pounds in the cage, and
they're probably out there waiting too. Like,
yeah, and they're down to fight, man. So I think it'd be fun, but for the sake of this, I think that GDR, I think that she is the side here, and she's one of the many underdogs that I have in a parlay. We'll talk about that at the end of the night. But yeah, GDR, I think that this goes probably decision. I don't think that she can put Norma Dumont's beautiful butt away. It's just going to be one of those things where it's like, it's a back and forth, but GDR kind of, really pounds it home, and we get a decision on her end. Now, I think this is you, Alex. Court McGee just got knocked the fuck out by Matt Brown, and he is taking on Alex Moreno, who I've got an auto bet with Alex Moreno. But what is your take on this right away, Alex?
You got to go with Moreno. Younger, healthier, better resume, even though he's not the vet in this spot. And I got to go with Alex Moreno. He is an auto bet in this spot. That's why the line is completely juiced. I'm not going to hate anyone who thinks, Court McGee at plus 250 isn't that bad of odds. I wouldn't hate you, but I got to go with Moreno here. I think he's a good parlay piece. And as for prop, I think he can get it done anywhere. I'm probably going to go with the juicier one and take Alex Moreno by, first round sub. Court tries to wrestle, jumps into a gilly and underestimates Moreno's BJJ. So that's the scenario I see happening. Would I be shocked if Moreno beats him up on the feet for 3 rounds or knocks him out in round 1? No. This is one of the fights that I would, bet as small as possible on any prop I was going to take, because this is one of the more, for Moreno props, he could hit them all. And over under, another one I wouldn't touch. But I don't see Court winning any way other than wet blanket decision, and I just don't see that happening for some reason at all.
Yeah, he could easily get knocked out too. But Jared, where are you at on this?
I'm completely on Moreno here. Moreno's a guy that I feel like the uneducated eye, you would look at these two guys and you would assume McGee's going to beat his ass. Looks are deceiving with Moreno. He is really good. He's well-rounded, sharp, fast boxing. I mean, the dude's good anywhere the fight goes. You look at Court McGee, he was a guy that he looked like he had a granite chin for quite a while. He had like 1 knockout loss prior to his last 2 fights. And those, I mean, he's coming off 2 bad knockouts. The striking's never been great. His best bet here would have to be to wrestle. But even in that situation, if you try to wrestle Moreno, you're going to put yourself in some shitty spots. And Moreno's got some sneaky submissions. I just don't see McGee offering Moreno anything he can't deal with. I can see him make it last because he is tough. I'd like to take a Moreno early finish. I kind of find myself leaning towards an over. But you know what? I'm just going to say Moreno can find a submission, maybe when McGee's tired, shooting some desperate takedowns, finds a submission round 2.
Okay. I'm right there with you. And the reason why I am on the Moreno sub round 2. This is possibly my best call ever. And I had to go back and see who he was fighting. He was fighting Tim Means. When I called the sub round 2 and I called the guillotine. And I called this when I was talking with my buddy out there in Australia, Nick, right? I mean, this guy, we did this show. This is like my original co-host on this show. And we would always text. We'd always talk back and forth, like, on Instagram, we DM each other and we're talking shit. And I said, put the fucking house on Moreno sub round 2 against Tim Means. I don't know why. I was drunk, believe it or not. And I was just like, let's go. Let's go with this sub round 2.
We got to ride your method for this fight, is what you're saying.
What's that?
We got to ride your method because you're hot with Moreno fights.
I mean, I thought that it was going to be Buckley as well. And after last weekend, when you see Moreno going the distance with Buckley, that's a good loss, right? I kind of think that Luke kind of threw that fight a little bit. I think that there's something a little fishy about that, just covering.
You want to talk about throwing a fight?
Pull the Petrosky,
bro.
Pull the Petrosky.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some shady.
That was weird
there. But let's just say that Moreno, he went the distance with a tough dude. Let's just say that sports are never rigged, right? He went the distance with a tough dude. Yeah, man. I think that the sub, for me, the sub round 2 for Alex Moreno is an auto bet. Always. I'm gonna put probably 20, 30, $40 on that. And that isn't something that you should just automatically follow. But this guy's got a good guillotine. He's got a very, very good guillotine. And I think that Court McGee could get a little sloppy. He could shoot in. And whether it comes in round 1, 2, or 3, I think that Alex Moreno is live for a guillotine. And I love Alex Moreno sub round 2. I already have it written down here for me.
Moreno by sub is plus 750. That's juicy prop. That's probably going to come down too.
What about the sub round 2? What is that? Is that available for you?
Plus 2,000.
Yeah. $20 on that. I think that's a.
Oh, but why get greedy when you can just take all 3 rounds?
I mean, put $20 on fucking sub, and then put another 20 on sub round 2.
But right now, $20 on sub pays $150. That's pretty good.
Sure.
You don't have to be greedy.
I'm saying put 20 on the sub, and then also put it on sub round 2. So take.
Or doubling down.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I love Alex Moreno sub round 2 always, and I'm always going to take that. This is why I'm going to be betting on Jamal Hill to beat Alex Pereira, and a lot of people think that he doesn't fucking stand a chance. Alex Pereira is the scariest guy in the world.
I feel like Hill's the popular bet.
Huh?
I feel like Hill's the popular bet.
Fuck no, he's not, dude. Everyone's talking about.
I've seen a healthy mix.
Huh?
I've seen a healthy mix of people taking both sides.
Me too.
I don't know, man. I think that you have some influencers that are talking about Hill, but I've been on Hill, and I'm always going to bet on Hill every time he fights because that dude is a fucking animal. But
your shirt, is that new merch?
This is not new merch. This is government is the virus. This has been around for a minute.
I like that. That's funny.
Government sucks. So, any government officials that are listening to this show, you can go and fucking kill yourselves because you guys suck. Fuck the government. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, man, let's move on. And before I just get us completely in trouble, let's move on to the next fight of the night. And it's good, man. I think this is actually my turn. We've got Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek, man. He's fighting Charlie Campbell. This is the North versus the South. This is a civil war type situation going on here. I've got Trevor.
Yeah, don't forget who won.
Well, yeah. I mean, Trevor Peek, I think, wins this civil war. And it's only because how do you beat Trevor Peek? You go in there, you overwhelm him, you do what Chepe did to him, right? Charlie Campbell is not Chepe. Chepe's fighting later, and spoiler alert, I'm on Chepe. But dude, Chepe's the only guy that can outdog Trevor Peek. You have to outdog Trevor Peek in order to beat him. Charlie Campbell is not a
Guys
dog.
that can outdog Trevor Peek, dude.
What's that?
Plenty of guys in this division that can outdog Trevor Peek.
Yeah, Charlie Campbell's not one of them. So my thing with Charlie Campbell, yeah, he's got a long jab. He's a fun fighter. Uh, didn't make his way into the UFC by his Contender Series fight because he wasn't good enough. He just, he kind of trickled his way in because he's a Ray Longo fucking Weidman fucking dude. He's not one of these guys that really belongs in the UFC. He's a good fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him. Trevor Peek has zero skills. Trevor Peek is less skilled than Charlie Campbell, but he is such a fucking dog that this guy will go in there and he will take Charlie Campbell's best shots and he'll feed him his own poison. And I think that he actually ends up going in there and knocking him out. So give me Trevor Peek, knockout round 2. And I think that that's what happens here, man. What do you got here, Alex? I'll give this to you.
I'm gonna give an advisor here to not bet Trevor Peek in the spot because he's usually down round 1. Just live bet him. If you like him to get that comeback, see if he's gonna take those big shots in round 1. I don't think he can, in my opinion. I think Peek's even a little bit small for this weight class. I think he's truly a 45er. I think if he did what he did at 45, he'd be, a top 15er in no time. But I think just this division has too many guys who are just going to be able to handle the size of Trevor Peek.
Yeah, but all these guys aren't fighting in there in the cage with him. So what do you think about?
I understand, but in this spot, I got to go with the bigger guy, and I think he can get it done. Am I going to go crazy huge on it? No, but I'll have some money on Charlie Campbell. I'm not going to get greedy and take him in round 1, even though I should. But I think he has multiple ways to win this fight. I think he can outpoint him and just use his jab and just, use footwork and he'll be fine. But, that Trevor Peek, if he makes it around 2, he's plus 300, that's a spot. That's where I would bet Trevor Peek. But I wouldn't bet him at because he's going to get beat up in round 1 is all I got to say.
You think Peek is going to get beat up in round 1?
I think he's going to get beat up in round 1. I think he's going to have to weather a really big storm, and I'm not sure he's going to weather it. So I would advise Peek bettors, wait till round 2. You might even get good odds, and that's the spot I would take him.
Okay.
But I'll go Charlie Campbell, round 1, KO, my official pick.
Okay, KO round 1. Interesting. Jared, where are you at here?
If there's one thing that you're never going to catch me doing, it's betting on Trevor Peek.
That's fair.
Honestly, I think he is the sloppiest UFC fighter I have ever seen. I'm not there. I can't get there with Trevor Peek. The dude genuinely, when I look at his skill set, it's really hard to take anything away from it other than he's got that dog in him. This dude is very, very tough. And that's probably the only thing he's got going for him. He should patent the standing hammer fist or standing back fist. I mean, the dude, if I'm in a random bar fight, I'd love to have him by my side. But as far as betting on a dude in the UFC octagon, there ain't no way I'm taking Trevor Peek. Charlie Campbell, I mean, he's just way more technical on the feet. If he keeps this fight technical and keeps it clean, he should put on a clinic against Peek. There's always that risk that Peek can outdog his opponent, but I just think Charlie Campbell, he's the taller guy, he's longer, he's way more technical, and it's nice to see him being he was in a couple grappling competitions recently. It's nice to see him rounding out his game. And like Alex said, I think this dude has multiple ways to win. I think this fight can get sweaty, it can get sloppy, but if you look at the Mariscal fight, Trevor Peek was gassed and bad in that 3rd round. He got that dog and he was there every step of the way. But that gas, man, I think he has a gas problem that a lot of people aren't acknowledging. I'm going to say Campbell gets him out of there late. I'm going to say he gets a knockout round 3.
So you guys aren't worried about the chin of Campbell because, and I've got the knockout round 3 for you there, Jared, but you know, he's going in there. Charlie Campbell's going in there, and he's fucking putting a bunch of work in on Chris Duncan in the Contender Series, and then Chris Duncan just catches him with one shot, and this dude is fucking, you know, zombie stepping in potholes. He's fucking knocked out, and I
Yeah,
mean,
the same thing happened to
So
Chris. Covered a little bit better, but that was a back and forth fight.
so
That was a
the way I look at Charlie Campbell with that chin, one thing I gotta remember here, that was a Contender Series fight. He's trying to, this is a big opportunity for him. Talk about UFC jitters. Imagine the jitters when you're trying to earn a UFC contract. He was doing good, and he caught Duncan. He had Duncan on shit street, and he got too excited. He jumped on the opportunity, and he got caught. You're swinging 4-ounce gloves. There's a chance you can get caught sometimes. He found himself getting caught, and what have we seen since then? Improvement.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting one, I'll say.
That's why I think he needs to keep it technical. You don't want to get in a firefight with Peek because then you're giving him a chance. If he can keep this a kickboxing match or just keep shit technical, don't let this become a dog fight. Don't let it become a patented Trevor Peek bar fight. If he lets it get there, he's got problems. But I'm
I
hoping
say it
this
all the
dude
time, man.
just keeps it straight.
I say this all the time, and a lot of people say this all the time. If you're a boxer, you brawl a boxer and you box a brawler, right? Like if you're trying to go in there and you're trying to enact your own fight style. Let's say you're a very technical boxer and you're going in there and you're fighting a brawler. You want to make sure that you stick with your game plan. You box this brawler. Or if you're someone like Tai Tuivasa, you want to go in there and you want to make it a fucking dirty fight. You want to brawl. You don't want to fucking get technical. You don't want to go to the ground. You don't want to get in tight to boxing type shit. So yeah, man, it's interesting. We'll see, man. I'll go fucking toe to toe with you guys. I'm doubling down on Peak, man. I think that Peak gets this done. I think Campbell's kind of a pussy personally. So we'll see what happens. But let's go to this next one. I believe this is you, Jared, to start. Lucas Brzeski versus Valter Walker. This is I said Valter Walker. It's Valter Walker. Valter Walker is fucking Johnny Walker. This is his younger brother. This guy looks 55 years old. I'm not sure how he's like, what is he, 27?
26,
No
yeah.
fucking way. This dude's 26 years old. This guy looks older than me. He looks older than my dad, to be honest, who is in his 60s. So we'll see what happens here. But he's a great wrestler. He's not a striker like Johnny Walker is. He's a wrestler. He's living out there in Russia right now. Interesting dude. But Lucas Brzeski is dog shit. So what do you guys think about this? Jared, this is yours to break down first.
Well, Valter Walker, that sounds like the fucking vampire hunter. That's the side I'm on here, dude. Uh, you got Bretsky. I mean, the dude's 0-3 in the UFC. I'm going to make it short and sweet. This is a very clear as day mismatch. You look at the card placement, it's very clear what direction the UFC wants to go with this. You got some hype because of the Walker last name, yet you look like a Dagestani mountain man. You fight like one, too. Um, I really don't see Walker having any issue here. Maybe he does in the first minute, but I'm going to say he gets the takedown he needs. Ground and pound finish, round one.
Okay. So we're talking about a KO round one. I like it. Alex, where are you at here?
I'm disclaimer. I'm not betting this one, but I do like Walker. I think there's some question marks about him, but I like Walker here. You know, everyone's gonna assume he's Johnny Walker's relative, and probably that's why they lined it at minus 350 here because he's probably gonna have all the steam. It's just how does the fight look if he doesn't get it on the ground? You know what I mean? There is question marks here, and I'm not betting any question marks at minus 350. But I'll go with Walker by, ground and pound, round two.
Okay. Yeah, he is Johnny Walker's brother, so no one's, I don't think, assuming anything, right? I
Is it
don't know.
really his brother?
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's Johnny Walker's younger brother, even though he looks fucking far older. Um, yeah, man. Interesting.
Go to him.
What's that?
You know how brothers get biased in this game.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Walker, he really kind of fucked up. Both these guys are Brazilian. I think that they should have just fucking stayed in Brazil. What the fuck is Johnny Walker doing out there?
Is Johnny Walker's brother. Oh my god. It doesn't look too much like him though.
I know, man. What do you fucking think? I don't do my research, man. I know what's going on here. So yeah, this fucking mongoloid here, this guy is related to Johnny Walker. And like I said, this guy's living out there in Russia. He's doing a lot of wrestling.
Yeah,
So
he's got the Dagestani beard going too. He's cultural.
yeah, he's doing some cultural appropriation out there. Depending on where you're at, you might think that's racist, but this guy's just, fucking blending in with the society. And he's living the lifestyle. But yeah, man, I think
Imagine he's just like the opposite of his brother, and he's got a granite chin. He's like the
well,
Johnny Walker everyone wanted.
yeah, well, I think that actually kind of is what he is. I think that he's somebody that is he's tougher than his brother. He's more calculated. He's not as wild. I say it every time that Johnny Walker, he should be a -110 against fucking Parker Porter, and he should be a -110 against John Jones. Like this dude should be a -110 against anyone that he fights, always, because you never know what Johnny Walker is going to do. And that's what makes him fun. That's why I mean you can shake your head all you want. He fucking had your boy out there, Magomed, who was fucking dog shit, by the way. This guy, he had him dead to rights the first time they were fucking fighting. He fucking missed a flying knee by a fraction of a centimeter. And it's just one of those fighters. He's one of those dudes that can go out there and he can dominate, or he can look like a fucking idiot. Now, Walker, this guy, Valter, I should say, is more calculated. I think he absolutely gets this done against Brzeski, who I don't even think is UFC material, man. 8-4-1. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get this guy out of here. I think Valter Walker gets this done first round, whether it's knockout on the feet, whether it's a submission round one. I think it's a round one finish for sure. Give me round one knockout. Valter Walker. I don't even think it goes to the ground, man. I think that this is just a standing knockout. So let's go with that. Alex, you can take this one. Ignacio Bahamondes versus Christos Hiagos. What do you got with these two fucking Latin Americans here?
I got to go with Ignacio right away. Big fan of his. I've been very successful in his career, but I'd be lying if I told you Giagos doesn't have a path to victory here, which is just get takedowns and you get top control and you'll win this fight 100% of the time. But it's just, I think Ignacio can keep more time standing than Giagos keeps it on the ground. But I do think this fight is more likely to go over than under, in my opinion, because Ignacio's a slow starter, but once he gets going, he's violent. And I'm going to go with Ignacio by decision. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a KO, but I'm not laying 350 on Ignacio, in this spot, because there's a clear path to victory for Giagos, but official pick is Ignacio. If the line was lower, like -250, which is probably where it should be at, I'd be taking him here, but just a little bit too juice for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think Ignacio Bahamondes is the move for sure. Yeah, he is a slow starter. He didn't look too good in his last fight. But I think this is the side, man. Christos Giagos is not, I don't think, anything to write home about personally. Um, it's interesting, man. Some of these guys, when they've been in the game so long and their records are not so high. And I'm talking about someone like Bahamondes, right? Like you should be out there, you should be fighting more. Like to me, it doesn't make sense to be 14-5. 14-5 over that amount of time, right? And the amount of time that I'm talking about is from 2015. That doesn't seem like that many fights, man. Am I wrong, Jared? Like you know a little bit more about like the frequency, about like how many times you can fight a year. Obviously, it's realistically at the high level, it's like 3 times. But when you're fighting at a lower level, you can fight 6, 7 times a year. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Especially
if
matches and stuff like
it
that.
it varies from what level you're fighting at, and it varies from sport to sport. I mean, if you look at these Muay Thai people in one championship, they're fighting every 2 or 3 months.
That's what I'm
You know,
saying.
you see guys that'll fight. You'll see champions defend their belt 5 to 6 times a year. It's just sport to sport. You never, depending on how the fight goes, that can take up more time between. But sport to sport and the level that you're fighting at, it's all kind of situational. But that doesn't seem like a lot of fights for that amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting. And then we talk about something like bare knuckle. These guys can turn around. They can turn around like month to month, and they can fight, right? Boxing with the 16-ounce gloves, that's a little bit different. These guys get fucked up when they're getting hit with 16-ounce gloves, right? So, yeah, you're right. It's definitely sport to sport, and it's competition level to competition level. But to me, man, it just it's a little fishy when somebody like Bahamondes is not getting that kind of volume in. But so what do you think about this? Obviously, Alex and I were both on the Bahamondes decision. Where are you at here?
Yeah, no surprise. I'm on the Bahamondes side. I like the guy striking. He's fast. He's sharp. He's dynamic. All different kinds of angles. He's the kind of guy, he wants to keep it a kickboxing match. He wants to stay on the outside. He wants to pick his opponent apart. And he does a really good job at that. Giagos, he's not that bad, but he's very hittable. And if he's going to win this fight, he's going to want to wrestle. It's going to be hard to get to Bahamondes, man. The way he plays the outside game, the way he's changing which way he's circling, he switches stances a lot. I If Giagos gets him down, there's a world he could take over, but he's going to have a hard time getting there. I just don't see it for him. So I'm going to side with Bahamondes to get a knockout, and I'm going to say it comes in round 2.
I like it. Okay. Bahamondes knockout round 2. Yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see if a fucking knockout comes. I think that would be an interesting little play there. Okay. So next up, I think it's me.
All right, fellas. Yes, I know.
What is that? What was that?
I'm watching Harry's story.
Oh, jeez. All right. So now we'll move forward. We'll move forward to like what I think is one of the greatest fights of the night. We got Morgan Shearer, whatever the fuck, this fucking French crumpet, whatever what do they eat out there in France? Fucking
Croissants.
croissants. Exactly. This croissant eating fuck. He's taking on Chepe Mariscal. I'm a big Chepe fan. Big Chepe fan. So obviously I'm going Chepe. I think that he gets this done. I think he could knock this dude out, man. I think he can do it later too. Round 2 or round 3 knockout, I think is the play for Chepe. He could also do it round 1, man. If you want to get a little spicy with this, I say you take Chepe knockout round, just Chepe knockout. But if you want to get a little crazy, I say you take Chepe knockout round 3 because he's one of these dudes that grinds people down. For the sake of the show, I'm taking Chepe knockout round 2 because I think that he beats the shit out of fucking Morgan for, a round, 5 minutes. And then he gets him out of there at the end. Excuse me, at the end of round 2. But give me Chepe round 2. I think the bet here is Chepe knockout round 2 or 3. I think Chepe brings him down to the ground and he beats the fuck out of this fucking French piece of shit. I hate French people these days. I'm just kidding. I like French people. But you look at the French people that have been fucking losing, and then this bitch, her nickname's the Beast, right? She goes out there. She's fucking fulfilling the 666 prophecy that I talked about last week. What are we talking about? And she does it with a jab. I hate that fucking Savat style. I don't like it. It's point fighting. They're not really out there trying to fucking finish people. I think that Chepe goes out there. He does what he needs to do, and he just puts a fucking brutality onto Morgan Shearer or whatever the fuck his name is. Alex, where you at with this one, man?
I kind of like the other way. I kind of like Morgan
Okay.
here.
I'm just kidding.
You can't bet against all the French people, man. You did that last week,
I did not bet against the French
He
people.
was on Manon with us.
You're on Manon with us?
I was the one that told you guys. I was the one that went first. And I
Oh,
said
man.
that all these sixes were lining up to where Manon gets her sixth decision win. Like,
All right.
I
All
was the
right.
one that fucking guided you both into saying,
Oh, stop it! Guided us.
what the fuck are we
both.
talking about?
We were already there. You were there too.
So we
I
gotta
was
keep
there and I fucking told you the esoteric aspect of that whole thing.
You were there for different reasons, and we were there, but we were all there and we all won. So whatever.
Yeah.
I think Morgan's just cleaner on the feet, and I think he's gonna outpoint Chepe, maybe even knock him out. I think the under is a little bit live here because these guys press the cardio pretty hard, guys. This is gonna be a scary fight. It's gonna be back and forth. It's line close, but I'm gonna go with the younger guy here, Morgan. I'll go round. I'll go decision. Morgan by decision.
Yeah, there ain't no fucking way that Morgan beats Chepe by decision. He's got to finish him if he does that. But Jared, where are you at here?
So Morgan Croissants, he looked really good in his debut. I mean, he's fast on the feet. He makes it up pretty well too. On the feet, I like him. His fights leading up to the UFC didn't so much like what I was seeing on the ground. He's kind of one-dimensional. He wants to keep it on the feet, and he wants his speed to be the most effective thing. He is fast. He might have a speed advantage in this fight, but Chepe's as new as he is to the UFC with only 2 fights, he's very, very well-rounded. I honestly think this guy is a complete fighter. If you look at his record, the guys he's fighting before the UFC, he's fought a ton of guys that are UFC level. I know he has a win over Pat Sabatini, and some of the guys he's lost to, I mean, they're genuine UFC level guys. He has good experience. He's well rounded. I think there's a world this fight plays out a little close where Morgan's looking good early, but I see Chepe taking over this fight, and I will forever love Chepe for exposing the horrible technique that is Trevor Peek. So I'm going to take Chepe to win a decision.
Yeah. I'm writing that down here. But dude, both fights that Chepe had in the UFC, it was Trevor Peek and it was Jack Jenkins. Both of those fights, he was an underdog in. Okay. And he went out there, he finished Jack Jenkins. He went to I think
if we're being fair, that Jack Jenkins, that was an injury, and Jack Jenkins was kind of ahead leading up to that. But regardless, he got him in a weird position where he was going for a throw. He caused the injury. I'm not disputing that, but
you're right. He caused the injury, but no, he was not ahead, man. Go back and watch that fucking fight.
I watched it last night. I honestly thought Jenkins was looking a little sharper. I mean, it was a very good contested fight, but I thought Jenkins looked a little sharper, man.
It's interesting, man. It's wild that 2 people can watch the same fight, right? And then we can both be like, no, dude, I think this guy's winning. And then you think this guy's winning. I think that Chepe had that fucking dude like dead to rights the whole time, man. So, it is interesting. It depends on the way that you're grading the fight and whatnot. But yeah, man, dude, I love Chepe. And I think, him training out of Denver. I think he's a little bit tougher. I think he's got more shit going for him, and I think that he absolutely fucking makes this French pussy look.
Dude, that's a big selling point for me. He's surrounding himself with really good people.
Yeah. Well, dude, 19-9, 19-9 for fucking Morgan Chariot. Like that's a horrible fucking record, man. Obviously,
15. On the French regional scene too.
That's what I'm saying, man. French people are pussies, and this guy's going out there and fighting fucking Frenchmen, going 19-9 versus Chepe. Yeah, he's 15-6. That's not great, but he's fighting fucking like tough Americans. He's not fighting fucking turncoat fucking pussies out there in France. Fuck France. I think the same thing of France about the same way I think of Canada. I like 2 Canadian fighters, George St. Pierre, and I like fucking Kyle Nelson as well. So it is what it is. But Alex, this is yours. After I just went on a borderline racist rant. This is Alex Hernandez versus Damon Jackson, man. Weird choice for a I mean, this is a weird choice for a fucking co-main event, man. Bad choice. What do you think about this one? You're muted, Alex, if you're talking.
I hate this fight, but I'm gonna go with Alexander Hernandez. I think he can. I think he's just too big. I think he's gonna be able to work him. I think he's gonna be able to do more damage early. If I were to bet Damon, he's always losing round one. This guy's just a broken record. I mean, other than Mike Breeden, who he got in round one. But I think early Hernandez is gonna hurt him. I would never bet the leech before round one, to be honest, because I think he's going to be losing, 90% of the time going into round two, if there is a round two. But I'll go with Hernandez. I'm really feeling round one KO, but he's shown a reserve self lately, especially against Jim Miller. He's showing that he can go the distance with a lot of guys. So I think if he goes the distance with the leech, I think he's gonna win on damage. I think he's gonna win on control time, and other than a fluke sub or him gassing out, I think he gets the win here. And wouldn't mind a small bet. I'm gonna go small on this play, but I'm not the most confident on this fight. But I'm gonna take my shot on Hernandez here.
Okay. So you're taking Alex, you're taking what decision?
We'll go round one KO.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you talk about like I'm not sure, but she's gonna fuck him up right away. No, yeah, it seems like that's kind of the type of fighter that Alexander Hernandez is, right? He's either gonna like fucking get it done quick, or he's going to, fight a lackluster decision, and then
Hasn't been that way lately.
yeah. So it is what it is. Jared, where are you at here with this?
I'm on Hernandez all day. I'm actually very, very confident in this pick. You look at Damon Jackson.
Yourself last week as well. So let's calm down.
That's fair. That's fair. But you know what? Hey, I gave it my best shot. I put my best foot forward. It didn't
I
work
know.
out for me, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Hey, and you know what? You stepped in there. You stepped in there against a
Yeah, right. That's more we could say about you two. Who was
yeah.
who was in Atlantic City last week? Me.
We're a couple of pussies here, me and Alex, and you're in there. You're fucking, throwing hands with high level Canadian fighters. So yeah, fuck us. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, took a little wind out of my sails considering as a Canadian male, but we'll get through it.
all right, dude. Hey, you know what? You're doing your thing. But okay, so continue. Sorry.
I'm on Alexander Hernandez. I'm pretty damn confident in it. I look at Damon Jackson. He's a one-dimensional wrestler. He has very, very good wrestling and very, very bad striking.
Hey,
And
he was piecing up. I'm sorry. He was piecing up Billy Q. And I told you this. And when I said this, Alex, Jillian Robertson over there without her wig on, was sitting over there and he was giving me all kinds of goofy looks. And I was like, hey, go back and watch that fight. Damon Jackson was piecing up Billy Q. And that's why I was like, fuck Billy Q, 3 weeks ago. And it ended up working out. So, I mean, Damon Jackson is not as bad as you guys think, man.
I think he's as bad as I think. I think he will relentlessly spam takedowns until he either gets it or gets beat up too much and folds over. Hernandez is, I mean, you've talked a lot of shit about Hernandez, so here I come to defend him. Yeah, he's 6-6 in the UFC. He's been hit or miss, but the guys he's losing to, they're high level guys for the most part. I mean, he's well rounded, man. He's one of these guys that he doesn't excel in any area, but he also doesn't lack in any area. He's a well-rounded fighter. I think he can hang with Damon Jackson anywhere, or at least in the grappling, and I don't think Damon Jackson can hang with him in the striking. Damon Jackson also got a cardio issue. I'm going to say Hernandez gets him out of there by knockout late, round 3.
Okay. Okay, around 3. I'm gonna go Damon Jackson decision. I think that Damon Jackson is better than a lot of people think, man. Look at the fucking records: 22-6, 14-1. I mean, this guy, he's done, I think, what he needs to do to gain respect. He lost his brother when he went out there and he fought Pat Sabatini, knocked this dude out in 30 seconds or whatever the fuck it was. I think Damon Jackson's the truth. I think that he's decent for where he's at. He's not awesome. We can look at him, we can laugh because he's got the receding hairline, right? He doesn't look like a fighter necessarily, but I think that Damon Jackson is better than a lot of people think. And yeah, give me Damon Jackson. He's gonna be like my underdog kind of solo pick of the week because Hernandez fucking sucks, man. This dude goes out there and he can look like John Jones one week, and then he can look like fucking, you know, what's that girl's name? Fucking Nina Nunez, right? Like he can look like fucking like the worst. So it is what it is with Alexander Hernandez. He's give or take great or horrible. I think that he shows up and he thinks that this is an easy fight and he fails to rise to the occasion. He reminds me of the Beverly Hills Ninja dude, right? I just don't see it in him. So yeah, give me Damon Jackson. I like Damon Jackson. Um, I like people like Jimmy Flick. I like people like Kyle Nelson. I like some of these fighters where they're not necessarily good, and I like their personality more than I like their fighting style. But yeah, man, give me fucking Damon Jackson all day over the fucking great ape. Fuck this dude, man. Let's go. Damon Jackson, get it done. Represent for your brother. Fucking knock this motherfucker out. Knock him out in round one.
I'm gonna bet him just
Damn,
live.
I must have missed the whole hate speech, huh?
No, man. I'm just saying, like, I like certain fighters because of what they represent. Like the way that Damon Jackson went out there and he knocked out Pat Sabatini quick because his brother died that weekend, right? Like literally like days before his fight. Damon Jackson fought Pat Sabatini and just fucking knocked him out quick, and no one was giving him a chance. So I like Damon Jackson's mindset. I think that he goes.
He's got the mega mind, dude. Look at his head.
I mean, yeah, he's got a fucking gigantic forehead. It's a 7 head, but he's gonna go out there.
For a reason too.
I think he goes out there. I think that he knocks out Alexander Hernandez round one. So give me Damon Jackson knockout round one.
Bold.
Very bold.
Okay, we'll see. Main events of the evening. Just a dog shit fight. I mean, this is stupid. It should have been the original matchup, which would have been Brendan Allen versus who? Someone remind me.
Vittori, I believe.
Yes, Marvin Vettori. And then now we're getting a second fight. The first time these guys fought, Chris Curtis knocked this dude out round two. I think it's more of the same. I'll start it off and then you guys can go. I think it's more of the same. Brendan Allen has improved more than Chris Curtis has, but Chris Curtis has a plus 90% takedown defense. Very, very difficult to take down. Brendan Allen is kind of a pussy on the feet. I'll just say that right now. He's not very good on the feet. I think that this goes the distance because Chris Curtis is kind of a Sean Strickland type with the striking. He's not a killer. He likes to pretend that he is, but he's not. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could go 25 minutes with this dude, and I haven't fought 25 minutes in my life. But it seems like just the style that these guys have at Extreme Couture, right? Is that his gym? Yes, Extreme Couture. These guys go out there and they're just like, we're gonna make sure this goes 25 minutes and we get our TV time. That's what we're out there to do. We're not out there to hurt anybody. We're out there to get our TV time, and then we're gonna try and make memes. That's what Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland and all these Extreme Couture guys do. So Brendan Allen, he's gonna try and shoot takedowns. We could see a finish here because Brendan Allen gets tired. I don't know if he's fought 25 minutes. He absolutely could. He's a younger dude. He's younger than Chris Curtis by a mile. I don't know the age difference, 28 to 36, massive age difference, 8-year age difference. So, yeah, I think that this goes into the later rounds. If anything happens, I think that I see Chris Curtis getting a late knockout. We're talking round 3, round 4. But I tend to see this going the distance. You put a gun on my head, you say, Ryan, pick how this fight goes. Chris Curtis, 50-44, potentially. I think that we see a Chris Curtis decision. Alex, what do you think about this, man?
You know, I really hate that there's a storyline of Brendan Allen trying to get that all of his losses back, because he's been calling out Strickland ever since he's gotten, and ever since ever since he's lost to him, he's like been eyeing Strickland the entire time. And this is building up a really nice storyline. Something in my gut is telling me like Brendan Allen's gonna get takedowns and win a decision here, but I think there's value on Curtis, man. I think he can win rounds. I think he's high volume. Um, and I think he can eke out a decision. It's just trusting that we're not going to get robbed and stuff like that is very annoying, because there is a storyline built here with Allen fighting Curtis. And if he beats Curtis, he's definitely can call it that rematch for Sean Strickland. And that call out, if even Sean Strickland's in the corner, I would be sweating a decision, because they're going to see a call out, and they're gonna cause a little bit of publicity, and UFC loves doing that. After that last week with all that shadiness, this is the fight I would think there's some shadiness around. So, I'm gonna go with Chris Curtis decision, but I'd be watching out for them judges.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where Jared is on this, because last weekend we all agreed on a certain fighter to go the distance, and that hit. So, Jared, where are you at on this one?
Well, now we're going to have the disagreement. Alex, I'm really happy you touched on that storyline because I think that is a very prominent thing here. Brendan Allen's got 2 losses in the UFC, one to Curtis, one to Strickland. When I look at Curtis, he's a guy, he's very durable, but we know what we're getting with him. It's a boxing heavy approach. He hits hard, but he also gets hit a lot. And boxing is really what he's got. He does have solid takedown defense. Allen's not the kind of guy that's shooting conventional takedowns. He'll do an Imanari roll. He'll dive for an ankle. He'll do some weird shit to get the fight where he wants it to go. Chris Curtis, I think he's kind of plateaued. We know what we're getting when we see Chris Curtis fight. It's a boxing heavy approach, hits hard, he's going to get hit a lot. When we look at Brendan Allen, it's a guy that we see, or at least I see, I think he improves fight to fight. I'm a little scared of his chin because it's shown some dust in the past, but I see him making improvements each fight, and he's just adding more things to his tool set. I mean, and this is this. I mean, if he wins this fight, the second he gets his hand raised, you can cut your promo right there. You're gonna have Sean Strickland in the corner. He calls out Sean Strickland. He just avenged the 1 loss in the UFC he had. Now he's trying to avenge the second one. I think the Brendan Allen revenge tour starts here. I'm taking Brendan Allen, and as durable as I think Chris Curtis is, I I think he can get submitted here. So I'm going to take Brendan Allen to find a submission late. I'm going to call it like round 4.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw this matchup, I thought that Allen was the side. And then I just kind of looked into it a little more. I thought, I see Curtis kind of coming out. I've also got a Chris Curtis card, up there. You can't see it, but autographed card, right? I don't have a Brendan Allen card because to me, man, Brendan Allen, you know how I talk about this thing? I don't know if I've done it too much here, where there's martial artists and there's fighters. And Brendan Allen seems like a martial artist, and Chris Curtis seems like a fighter. And I'll take the fighter every day over the martial artist. I don't like these guys. I said that same thing with Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's the fighter. Israel Adesanya is the martial artist. Every once in a while it works very well, but I cashed a big fucking bet on Sean Strickland when he fought the martial artist in Israel Adesanya. So, in hindsight, it's very easy to talk about those kinds of things. But yeah, man, there's a lot of martial artists versus fighters here. We see that with Trevor Peek versus the twink out of California that you guys are betting on, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm sorry, twink out of New York, not California. But we'll see what happens. And it's a fun card, man. Like it's not the greatest card, but it's a decent one. And then we're going into UFC 300 after this. And UFC 300 and UFC 299, as stacked as those two cards are, we're gonna have to deal with some kind of borderline shitty cards for the next couple months because anybody that's got a fucking name is on those, 299 and 300. So we're dealing with some kind of, shitty cards and whatnot, but there's some good matchups, man. Do you guys have some solid takes? I know that you always got your whale bet, Jared. Alex, I'm sure that you got some shit. Jared, we'll start with you, man. What's your whale bet? What are your bets that you think that people cannot sleep on heading into the weekend of April Fools?
Well, I got 2 whale bets and I got a steamer. So the first whale bet's going to be for one FC. One Friday fights 58. It's at 7:30 a.m. on Friday. So be up early for it. Main event co-main, I got Superbon and
Are
I
you
got
talking
Jon Di Bella.
7:30 a.m. Eastern time?
You damn right. And I took work off for it like a month ago.
Holy fuck, dude. I mean, so if we're talking 7:30, that's 4
It's 5:30 for you.
4:30 over here in Arizona. 4:30. I'm not waking up for that. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, the main event probably won't be until for you probably around 7.
Well, dude, I'll tell you when the Singapore card came around, I woke up at 2 to watch that. Like I woke
Hell
up,
yeah.
dude. I was drinking at 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up. I mixed some coffee with some whiskey. That was a fun card. And dude, don't tell anybody this, but I literally when Korean Zombie retired, I cried, dude. I cried a little bit.
That's all right. I'll give you a pass.
I was drunk. It was early. I was tired. I cried when I saw that dude. They're coming out, zombie. The fucking
I
song.
cried because I think I bet the over and I lost, or I bet
Oh
Holloway,
yeah,
but
no, you bet on the strikes.
yeah, I bet on the
Oh.
strikes and I lost. I was so sick.
Well, dude, and that was the thing. I bet on the knockout. I bet on just a knockout. It didn't matter who got the knockout in round 3.
Up, right?
Yeah, I bet the knockout round 3. And so like I was just sitting there like
Sick.
I was already emotional because I'm seeing this dude come out, and then I see him, after he gets fucking cold cocked, he walks out like a man, dude. Fucking Korean Zombie's a G. And I actually have a fucking signed card by him too. So, you know, it comes full circle. And I'm sorry, I stepped on what you were saying there, Jared.
It's all right, dude. We're all pussy sometime. I cried at the end of Inside Out. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's a children's movie, but it's a, it's a tearjerker. It's a good one. So we can all be bitches sometime.
It makes us
Anyways, here's the whale bet for one FC. Ryan's gonna be waking up at 4:30 a.m. Sharp. Superbon and Jon Di Bella. The odds aren't out on Superbon yet, but I know Jon Di Bella is plus 160. I like the 2 of them a lot. I'm gonna probably parlay Superbon with everything UFC, and I'll probably have him parlayed with Jon Di Bella too. That'll be my whale bet for 1. Whale bet for UFC. We're going Alex Moreno and Alexander Hernandez. We got the Alex parlay going at even odds. And then for the 4-teamer steamer, we got Dan Argueta, Norma Dump Truck Dumont. We're going with Johnny Walker's Russian brother and Bahamondes. The 4 of them's plus 600.
okay. Hey, yeah. I mean, man, what a good time Norma Dumont would be. You know what I mean? Like, just what a good time she would be. Alex, what do you got?
He's such a simp. I'm gonna go with
Fuck up. You sit there and you bail out and fucking, you don't hang out with your friends because you're chasing ass. Don't tell me
Ooh,
fucking
he's
simp.
speaking the truth too.
Don't tell me I'm a simp. I'll fuck Norma Dumont all day. You'll go and chase some average ass.
I
leave
mean,
the
in
stream.
Ryan's defense, you can't call people a
Leave the
simp.
stream
You're a
for
simp
Norma
yourself.
Dumont.
What's that?
You gotta send pictures of you and Norma Dumont for the stream at least.
Hey, deep fakes are very, very easily doable, so I can definitely play.
Do that, yeah, make that happen.
I'll get a Bella Danger and I'll just put Norma Dumont's face on her because a Bella Danger's got that fat ass too. Let's go. What do you got?
I'm fading Jared on one of those picks. I'm going with Germaine De Randamie money line. I like the odds on it. I think she should be the favorite here, even though she's been inactive. And
After 4 fucking years. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Germaine here to get it done.
Okay. So that's your big take on this is
That's my most confident pick as of now.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I don't have anything too crazy. I do have a 6-leg parlay. I'll tell you right now. What I have right now,
Definitely Trevor Peek's definitely in it.
yeah, man, I've got a 6-leg underdog parlay.
All right, give it here.
So what I have Cesar Almeida, I have Dan Argueta, I have JDR, I have Trevor Peek. I'm sorry, this is a 5-leg parlay, so I'll restart. Cesar Almeida, Dan Argueta, JDR, Trevor Peek,
EDR.
Chepe Mariscal. JDR is Germaine De Randamie. If you're not aware who that is, you don't call her JDR. What are we doing?
You mean GDR?
GDR, is that not what I said? Did I say?
You said JDR.
All right, well, you know what I mean.
And you even doubled down on it by saying it twice.
You knew what the fuck I meant, dude.
I knew damn well what you meant.
So I have I have the parlay, and I also have, because I don't want to hear fucking Alex telling me you should have round robin that. I took a round robin as well. I took a 3-leg, like the threes for the round robin. So if I hit 3 of those, I'll at least get something back. But I have the 3 by 10 round robin will give me $470 off of $30. Or I also have a $3 5-leg parlay, which could cash me $291. So it's not a big one, but I'm getting out there. We're trying to get some fun parlays going. I like doing these gimmicks, and I actually believe 100% in all those underdogs. I picked every one of these underdogs to get this done. So this isn't a straight up gimmick. This is actually something that I believe in. But anytime you got 6 underdogs that you actually think can hit it, let's fucking go. Let's see what happens. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you guys making any good food or doing anything fun this weekend when you're watching these fights?
We go Chipotle, dude. We're fucking simpletons. We don't make it about food like you, because I'm the host. And if it's about food, then I'm the guy fucking cooking it. I did that once before, and I ended up in the kitchen during like a couple prelim fights I didn't really care about. But I'm like, I'm watching the TV from a distance. It doesn't feel right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it takes some planning, you know what I mean? Like, we all we figure out the ways to do these things. And dude, I'm a big foodie. I'm always making food for all these things. I usually theme them up. If we're in Florida, I'm making Cuban food. If we're in
So what are you making this week, dog shit?
what are we in Vegas? I'll probably make like shit, we'll see. I might make some Mexican food, just like that's kind of my go-to. You know what I mean? Last week I made some tri-tip. Just made some. I made actually some Chipotle style bowls, but I used tri-tip steak instead of fucking whatever the fuck people throw in Chipotle bowls. But it was delicious, man. You gotta make good food, dude. That's what it's about. It's about getting fucked up, and it's about making good food and watching some fun fights. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? So, anything else you guys want to share before we get out of here? Jaron?
Follow me on Instagram, Teep Pics. Shoot me a message. Let's talk some bullshit.
Fuck yeah. And people have been reaching out to you, it sounds like.
Yeah, I've had a pretty decent amount of people message me, and usually I hear from them every Friday or Saturday, and nothing between. But they hit me up when it matters before the fights. What do you got? And Archie Colgan, shout out him. He's been hitting me up periodically, and definitely made that dude some money. And shout out Gabe Morales, one of my buddies I train with. He's fighting this Saturday in Hampstead, New Hampshire, down in Dirty Nine. He's 9-0, looking to make it 10-0, and should be a good time.
Fuck yeah. Alex, what you got, man? Anything that you want to share?
Archie Colgan, the Bellator fighter?
Yes.
That's awesome. You giving him picks?
Yeah, he messaged me maybe like a month or so ago, and he's hit me up twice since then.
Bro, he usually hits.
Dude, he must listen to Ryan's podcast because
he usually hits for us too. Shout out to Archie, you be getting your wins in for us. That's awesome.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Profit Picks. We'll be posting every Wednesday along with Casual KO podcast. And we love you guys.
Did you have anything that you wanted to plug there, Alex?
Please gamble responsibly, guys. Okay. The last thing you want to do is, catch yourself betting big on a rigged fight and then you're really upset. Okay. Like all the Bruno Silva betters last week, I would be sick to my stomach. So please go light. This is definitely not a week to be going crazy big on fights, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a tough little week here. Hold on 1 second. There's nothing here. Nothing at all. I'll go get some. But I gotta say, last week, this is the one thing that I will say. I don't bet on LFA too often. I did a 9-leg parlay. 9-leg parlay. It was one fucking leg from missing. But I will say I only threw $2 on it. But I had a nice plus 500 main event winner with Lance Lawrence. Lance Lawrence went out there and he beat up Landry Ward. It didn't even seem fucking close. It was it was such a fun thing, man. I think it was like $40 on him. Just because I wanted to, like, how you do, Jared, where you're like, man, I want to go into fucking UFC betting and have a little bit of plus money just so I can fuck around and lose, right? Like,
Yep.
what happens, right, with us. So we go in there and, man, dude, this fucking dude goes in there and just puts on a clinic. And I'll tell you right now, with LFA, if you can bet on someone that gets more finishes, bet on those guys, whether they're underdogs or not. That's what I did, just blindly. I didn't even know. And this is the third time I've done it. I just bet on the guy that gets more finishes, and they tend to win, man. Like, there's a pattern that I've kind of noticed where there's, obviously LFA kind of a B league type situation. I think the talent there, it's better than Bellator or especially fucking PFL. LFA is decent level competition, but these guys that go out there and actually hunt for the finish, they tend to be the ones that win. So if they're dogs, just blindly bet them. I think it's a, obviously don't fucking bet the house on it or anything, but I've always been happy with where I get with those. I also bet on a couple other fights. I like taking dogs on the LFA if it makes sense. So this is what I think people need to do, man. I want to do more work with BKFC, obviously, with like predictions, not necessarily predictions because I can't do that, but educational type stuff. I think if you can do educational type things with lower level promotions, that's where the money is, man. Because everybody's fucking betting UFC. There's no real value in any of these fucking bets with UFC. It's just the sexy thing to bet on when it comes to combat sports. If you talk about BKFC, you talk about LFA, you talk about, I don't even want to say PFL or Bellator because those are shit shows to bet on. But I'll say LFA, BKFC. Those are good things to try to focus on. So maybe that's something that we can kind of try and like shift our focus to here as with casual KO. We can obviously stick with what we're doing, but man, there's money to be made on these lesser bet promotions. So we'll see what we can do with that stuff in the future. But guys, if you're interested in what we're doing, continue following this show. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody about it. Play it for your dog when you're working. Play it. You know how dogs like listening to sounds and songs and all this shit. Play this shit. Play this. It's a nice thing. We're not sitting here. We're not hypnotizing your dog into killing you in your sleep or anything. It's all positive stuff. It's making money. It's getting shit going for yourself, and your dog will like it. And maybe your dog can kind of program you into not being a broke loser for the rest of your life. So we'll see what's up. But thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week. UFC 300. It's going to be a big one. And shit. Fun episode, guys. Thank you guys for both hopping on. Thank you to everybody listening. Like I said, tell your friends about it. And we will see you next week. Good luck with your bets, and we'll talk soon.